Hey everybody, happy Sunday. I wanted to talk today about facing your fears. This is a theme that's been coming up in my life a lot, and I feel like collectively it's something that many people are confronting as we proceed in this time of COVID and also with everything that's happening and has happened for hundreds of years with anti Black violence. And so I wanted to talk about that and just talk about like some stories that's been or some experiences I've been having. But to start, I would like to ground a little bit, at least take a few, let's take a few collective breaths. Um, I'll set an alarm for 2 minutes and just close your eyes and get in a comfortable seated or reclined position and take a deep breath to start the alarm. Take a deep breath in, exhale, slow in breath, hold it at the top and exhale. And keep it going at your own pace. And just check in with the quality of your breath in this moment. Return to your normal flow of breath and just listen to it. Feel the wave of breath and the in breath and the out breath. And that was 2 minutes. When you're ready, open your eyes. And oof, what did that feel like? It was really short, but you only need a moment to really check in with yourself and to see what's coming up in your body. And also to check in and be aware that the air is, and the oxygen is always supporting you. It's something I come back to, as you've seen in all the meditations. I find it to be the most supportive thing for meditation. But I sense that I need to breathe, so I'm gonna I'm gonna take some Flonase because I have allergies. I'm gonna scoot over here, take some Flonase. I don't know if other people have trouble breathing with allergies or something, but oh, okay, feel a little better. Today I wanted to talk about, like I said, confronting fear. There's been a lot of fear that has come up for me in the month of June. I talked a little bit about some of the difficulties I've been having, and I want to talk about like a couple of things, and some stuff that's come up when I spoke to my spiritual teacher, Queen, over the weekend, or over, I think we spoke actually a couple days ago. Um, so we, first of all, June was hard, like I talked about. I think I've mentioned that I had a close friend that we had a falling out, and I feel like that's been happening more and more during this time of COVID. I don't know if people have sensed that because of the amount of strain and because of this sense that we're in this life and death extreme moment in time, it's caused there to be a pressure on relationships. Um, so much so that we often are more aware of where someone is being supportive or not, or whether we feel aligned or not. And I think sometimes we're taking it to the extreme right now, um, and not just letting relationships breathe. And I felt as though me and my friend just had a moment of just not seeing things the same way, but they decided they didn't want to be my friend anymore, so to take a really decisive action. And it felt extreme to me because we've never really had a disagreement, or if we have, we've been able to talk it through. We've never really had like a hard conversation, like a really difficult conversation until this time. And so for me, it seems like an extreme reaction. Um, and also, I felt like I was blamed for things. And one thing that I realize about myself is I'm just not someone who like will blame someone else for causing me harm. Even though other people cause me harm all the time in a sense, or they bring up things within me, um, where I'm aware that like I'm triggered. And I told another friend recently, I try to be aware of like why I'm being triggered and what's unresolved within me. Um, and also I do try to bring it up to the other person if something was difficult for me, or and that's what I tried to do with this person, and then they started blaming me for a bunch of things. Um, it's unfortunate that we live in a society where we're so punitive with one another. Like we are ready to um, blame others for our suffering. I'm not saying other people don't create harm, and I'm not trying to victim blame. I've experienced lots of harm. I'm speaking as someone who's experienced different forms of harm, but I just wish we would do more processing of harm and more reflection. So when I talk about facing our fears in this moment, that's what I want to talk about is how to, when a fear comes up, as it may be coming up for people right now, a particular fear or a set of fears, how do you sit with it and try to trace where it's coming from? Because typically there is a source. A lot of times it comes from our childhood. And so I had a little story, a metaphor in a way, where I wanted to share. So recently I've been gardening, which is new and which is a lot of people have been doing now. They talk about victory gardens, which I think historically happened like during World War II. In the US, people were planting victory gardens. And in this time, people are planting the gardens. I I needed I needed plants around me to help sustain me in this time. Okay, my video's been acting weird, so I had to cut. It slowed down for a second. So back to what I was saying. I needed plants around me to help me feel connected to nature. or natural elements. So I bought indoor plants. I have a peace lily here that's like sprouting, two lilies. I don't know if you could see them. There's one here, and then there's one here. Really excited about that. There's a third growing too. It's kind of a lot. Surprising. But so then outside, I'm gonna post some pictures. My camera's I have an old phone right now I'm using because my phone broke. But I'll post some pictures of the flowers I'm growing outside. So I'm growing California wildflowers. It's like a mix of like poppies and like white yarrow. Lots of tiny white flowers are growing, and then little purple ones. They're like small flowers. Um, and it's taken like I think a month and a half or so for them to like really start growing and for any flowers to appear. So it's been a process, and then I've really been sitting with the flowers, weeding them, um, making sure there's no like bugs killing them or anything. So I spent so much time with them, and now they're starting to blossom. And I really think that that has had a positive effect on my mental health. Just seeing growth happen, seeing change happen. I just one thing that has come with the flowers is wasps. And wasps, though I'm familiar with them, like just, wasps are part of nature. I never really had to share intimate space or close space with them. So now it's like every time I go out, there's wasps in the flowers. And they don't like sharing space um, with anything they found threatening. They find me threatening, I think it's a ways. Sometimes they'll fly directly at me or come towards me, and I have to back up just to respect their space and to avoid being stung. So really now every day I go out and it's like the wasps are there, and then I feel like I'm trying to take care of the flowers and they're trying to take care of the flowers. And there's it just brought up a lot of anxiety for me. So now I'm like trying to figure out when I can go out, when they're not there, watering in the evenings and things like that. And then one of them came into my room because they live like right next to me. Like they're like 6 feet from the door. They have a wasp's nest. And one came in my room. And it was like anxiety inducing to have it because it was frustrated that it couldn't get out of the room. Even though I had the door open, I was trying to help it get out. It had come underneath the metal screen of the door. It came inside the gap underneath the door. Now, there's many practical solutions to keeping them out, right? Like, I mean, I started stuffing the metal door on the bottom, but I just wanted to bring up kind of the sensation of being afraid of something that I felt like could harm me. And, I think part of me was like uncomfortable. Like, why am I afraid of these small things? I'm not afraid of bees, or it's like I feel like I can know how to move with bees. Wasps are very like, I don't know, the way they move is very different. They're very graceful. They're very direct though in their movement, and when they're ready to attack you or something, like they really work collectively, and also they just have a consciousness that says like, and a energy that's like, stay the fuck away from me. And so that brought up a lot, and I spoke to my spiritual teacher about it, and she asked me to meditate on and like just write about like what are the wasps there to teach you. And one thing that I brought up was a sense of loneliness, that I've always felt like I've had, and bullying, being bullied as a child, and also feeling like I can't really trust people sometimes because they might harm me. Like they might try to, they might, um, yeah, just that's just a repeated pattern in my life that has happened. Just like maybe trusting the wrong people or attracting the wrong kind of person. And so now I'm getting sad. I'm getting like about to tear up. But I feel like the wasps kind of represent that, like a fear of being harmed. Even though I mean no harm or something, I might not be trying to, invade the wasp space, but I have to, take care of the flowers. Um, so it brought up the whole situation with my friend. Um, uh, um, and with that, something just came to me to say, like, I think we all really have to acknowledge that we all have the propensity to do harm. Like, that's just part of existing and being in relationship with other people. I can trigger someone else's harm and they can trigger mine. And I think, ooh, now I'm getting sad. I think what was really difficult about the conversations that I had with my friend was that um, I was told that I, sorry, I shouldn't apologize. This is just how I feel. So I was meant, made to be the, you know, I was described as the purple person perpetrating harm, even though I was also hurt by the conversation that we had that didn't go well. I didn't tell them that they hurt me or that I was hurt. I think what I told them was like, um, can we like evaluate? Let me get some tissue. How we communicate with each other, um, and yeah, I was like, I'm not comfortable talking about certain things because I'm not sure how to respond and authentically. Because I think when I hurt them was speaking authentically about what I thought that they um, needed to think about. And so ultimately, I feel like that relationship wasn't the right one for me to be in because there wasn't mutual understanding, like a sense that, okay, if either of us were to harm each other, like that we know that it wasn't intentional, that we can um, talk about it, like that wasn't there, and all these things. So I think that it's almost like being stung, like that experience was like, okay, being stung, like being surprised by this turnaround in a situation. And, um, but it's also like a wake up call. That's what my teachers told me. I didn't specifically tell them all these things, but in terms of a wasp stinging you, it's telling you, she said, to wake up to something. Um, and I think what I had to wake up to in the situation with my friend and with the wasp is like um, that, you know, you can be, harm is also the experience of pain and harm are part of life. The experience of um, these things that happen when we're in relationship, like I can't protect myself from them as carefully as I try to navigate with the wasps or with my friends, or as carefully as, and also that it doesn't, that's not the best way to move in the world either. is being so careful or being so um, like handling everyone with such anxiety that something might happen. It's also not a way to live your life. I think that's part of it. And also, if you do get stung being who you are in your authentic self, um, then it's just something that's going to happen. It's just something that was meant to happen. And it's about, not losing sight of like who you are, whether, you experience harm. And that's not easy. And this does involve like facing the things you fear. So facing loss, facing illness, facing there's so much we can experience, right, in this lifetime. Um, and it doesn't I'm not saying facing your fears will make it any easier, but I think that it's important to acknowledge what's coming up just to have more like now my nose is going. Sorry. But um just to have an awareness of what is happening, to gain wisdom about what's occurring in your lifetime, about who you're being, about, how we constrain ourselves sometimes, how we um, mold ourselves into other people's images, how we, live in fear. It's just not, it's not really living. And so I feel if we can be aware of the fear where it comes from and sit with it and call it what it is, we might cry. We might have the same reaction I just did, just naming what my fear was about loss of relationship and about triggering others. But the thing is, these things are inevitable, and pain is inevitable. There's, I think it might have been Thich Nhat Hanh, but I'm not sure. It might have been someone much older. But within the Buddhist tradition, one thing that is said is that life is filled with 10,000 fears and 10,000, or 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows. So you're going to have both, and you can't. I think one thing the society does, or at least in America, is try to mm, produce this kind of inauthentic life, this kind of frozen in happiness, frozen in like everything has to be pleasant, and you could always buy something that'll make it pleasant if you're lacking something. Um, but it's really important to really actually face both what is difficult and challenging and what shakes us and what is pleasant and brings peace and healing. Um, yeah. So um, I've been trying to be more just aware of the wasps when I go out and garden. And sometimes I back off, sometimes I move forward, sometimes I try to garden more or water more in the evening. I do, um, but I do take it as a lesson. And I also take this moment of COVID and maybe not having as much intimacy as I had before. It's important right now, I think, to take this time to go inward. It's also cancer season. Um, and I think that it's time to really face those things that we tried to hide from ourselves. Uh, but yeah, so facing your fears. I'm curious how people face their fears in this space. If you want to share a comment, that would be great. And or share something privately, you could always email me. Um, Yeah, I hope that was helpful, and know that it's work. It's not something that comes easy. It's a practice, and I think ultimately facing fear or being aware of it or trying to name it, I think it can only make your life more, like, enrich your life, make it more satisfying. Um, Also, to just reassure yourself and tell yourself things like, it's okay. I care about this experience, I care about what I'm going through, and not to abandon ourselves. So that's what I really want to encourage people to do. And I hope that was helpful to people. Um, that made me really raw and sensitive. I'm feeling very sensitive right now. Um, but yeah, I send a lot of love to everybody in this moment. And yeah, that's all I can really say on that subject. I'm gonna try to. My goal is to make one video a week, or at least post something. I'm gonna try to post some other things that I've been doing to help cope in this moment. Um, I've been doing a lot of physical activities. At least once a day, I've been trying to do something with my body to move it around. So I'll talk about that, and then yeah, I really hope everyone's okay. Much love to everybody. Thank you for listening and watching this video. Bye.